Hey guys, so today we're going to be repotting this beautiful Thai constellation that I got a couple of weeks ago. Gave it some time to acclimate, and now she is ready to be repotted into the mix of my choice. So let's get started. So these are the items we're going to be using for our repot. You guys know I like to get my chunky mix for aeroids, my repotting mats to prevent the mess, and clear pot. I think this one is going to be too small. I'm trying to see if I have a bigger one. I think this one's going to be too small, so I may end up putting it back into the pot that it's in now because I don't think it needs to size up. I think it just needs a soil refresh because it has that that big box store peat moss, and I'm just ready to get it out of there. So I think whichever pot it'll fit in, it will work best, but we'll see when we get there. All right, so let's get started. I think investing in this mat was like one of the best things I could do because no matter like how clean and neat I try to keep my space when I'm repotting, it just always tends to be a mess of some kind. So I mean, even with this, sometimes it can get a little messy, but for the most part, it all stays contained. I'm gonna move this mix out the way. It is in this jean material cover pot, which I'm gonna keep it in. Not even gonna lie. The roots don't look like they're bursting out, which I figured as much because I just got it. But sometimes when you just get them, the roots are, I mean, it's growing. I see that new root right there. So it's definitely growing. But we don't want to keep her in this peat. So I'm just gonna slowly remove as much of this peat as possible. It's not too compacted, so I don't feel like I need any like utensils to maybe get it out. I'm gonna irritate these roots. I've had it for maybe 3 or 4 weeks now, and I feel like it should have been starting to put out some type of new growth or new leaf, but it's not. And I figure it's maybe because of this peat. This stuff it can suffocate these aeroids. Like it does good like in the nursery for some reason. Like you'll see like an abundance of roots, but then when people start to bring them home, like they don't really do as well. And this peat moss, like this is just suffocating. But there's no dead roots in here. So I think I gave it a lot of time to go ahead and acclimate to my space before I do it, which is good for me because a lot of times I will just take this baby home and rip it out of this pot and put it in a new one with some fresh soil. But I wanted to let this one sit because this one was kind of like a new sentiment to me because if you saw my previous videos or my TikTok, my dogs actually ate my Tycon. So I had took it out of soil because the soil that it was in, it just wasn't doing good. So I took it out and I chopped it and I cut it up. And there was like 3 new plants in there by the time. And I just gotten them to root too, which was, it was just so unfortunate. And I was just so sad because that was kind of like the first plant that I got getting back into like the plant world because when I moved from from Michigan to Texas, I actually lost my entire plant collection because I did not transport them well, and that was a fault of my own. So it took me a long time to even want to get back into plants again. It's like I was just so devastated, but I just kind of like let it go, and like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get a Tycon again because that was like my favorite plant out of everything I had, and I had over there were a lot of plants, and now I know better now, and I know how to move them. I'm losing some roots, and that's okay. Um, I know how to move them on the next move, but I lost a pretty hefty investment um, in plants, and it was really unfortunate, and it was really sad for me. So getting that new Tycon, like I was like, yay, I'm kind of getting back into it. And I kept that Tycon for months and months and months, and I didn't get any other plants. And then I started to get my plants back up again. And yeah, she was the first to traumatize me again. And I like went the next day or two, and I got this pretty girl. I got lucky and found it at Home Depot um, for a pretty decent price for how big she is. Um, and yeah, I'm just ready to get back to where I was with my plants. So yeah, there's a little bit of backstory. And I had some gorgeous, gorgeous plants before I lost them all in tragedy. We kind of really don't like to speak about it because it was really, really sad. And you guys want to know the story, maybe I'll do a story time about my mistakes so nobody else makes that mistake. But yeah, we kind of like left in a not a hurry, but left pretty quick. And that was one of the things that kind of got neglected. So is how the root ball is looking so far. These are some pretty good roots. I mean, I lost a few in here, so I'm not too concerned about it. But because there are so many roots, I'm not too concerned about it, I should say. I think it'll do just fine. I think it'll do just fine. I'm just gonna shake this off. I don't think it has one of those plugs in there. I think whatever else is left in there is okay. Yeah, this has some really good roots on it. Even these little bitty leaves still look good, and usually those die off and get get my face out of there. Die off and get brown, but I think this one has some really good healthy genes. I was watching a auction the other day, and they were talking about how you should add silica to the water of the plants that have the variegation, the white variegation, because it helps your plant keep that variegation and stops it from browning. Like one of these is starting to brown on the tip. Like you could see maybe that one. That one has a little bit of browning on the tip. So they said add a little bit of silica to the water when you're watering, and that'll stop that browning from happening. So I'm going to take that tip and I'm going to try it. Maybe you guys can try it too, but definitely do your research before you go adding these chemicals to your plants. It may not be something that you like. I'm going to try it because I hate to see my pretty variegation go brown on like a really pretty big leaf. It just kind of, this one's kind of browning, but I think that's more so from maybe damage when they were transporting. So yeah, silica. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Okay, so I'm gonna clear this dirt off, and then I'm gonna make way for our new soil. So I'm gonna clear this off and I'll be right back. I'm just dropping stuff. Oh, actually I can stay here for you guys and show you how much easier or not easier it is to just empty it right in there, and it minimizes the mess. I wouldn't say it takes it completely away, nor is this mat sponsored, but it could be if you're watching. I would be a great person to advertise. So little to no mess with that. We'll say little mess, because I'm definitely still gonna have to do some cleanup after this, but comes with the territory. I didn't put my nails on today because I knew I was gonna get down to the nitty gritty. So for the soil, I use orchid bark, perlite, cocoa coir, cocoa chunks, and there's pumice stone here as well. Nice chunky mix for my big girl. Okay, I'm gonna see if these roots will fit in this pot. I think it'll do great in here. Might, maybe, no, it's not gonna do. So when you're trying to find out how big of a pot you should move to, you want to be 1 to 2 inches bigger than your root ball. This is not gonna work. She's not gonna work. So I'm just gonna put her back in her nursery pot that she came in from the store, which is fine. She'll have plenty of room to grow in here, but as you can see, she fits much better in there than she would in that clear pot. I love clear pots, but unfortunately today I don't have a bigger clear pot to put her in, so she's gonna have to make it do what it do, baby. Okay. So I'm just gonna add some of this soil, a third of the way in the pot. And I'm kind of all over with this. Let me lay her down before I break a leaf and I'll be crying again. Okay. So we're just gonna fill her pot, third of the way with soil. Give her a little cushion. And we're gonna place her in here. I did want to put a moss pole on her. Or should I wait for another leaf? Let me wait until she gets another leaf, because I really want her to have at least 3 or 4 leaves before, 4 or 5 leaves before I add her to. She has a really huge root ball, like, oh, and this one's broken off. So good thing I did pull through there, because we don't want any rotting roots in there. Okay. So we're just gonna rappity dap dap, dappity dap. Okay. All right, she's in there. So now we're just gonna go ahead and backfill her, and we're gonna tap as we go, just to make sure the soil gets around those roots. That is very important for you to get the soil around the roots, because you do not want to get root rot in these plants. Ticons are prone to root rot. They like to be dry, they like to be wet. They like to be wet and they like to be dry. So every time you dump some soil in here, tap the pot to make sure that it gets around those roots, because you do not want to rot this girl out. It'll be sad and it'll be unfortunate. Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know. So every so often, go in there and shake her up. I'm going to put a stake in here because she is a little top heavy and I don't want her leaning. See, she's leaning. Okay. Okay, so I have this. I'm going to slide this in there before I add any more soil. Okay, so now that she's snug in there, this is just a little trellis I got from a store up north called Flowerland. If anybody is a northerner, I'm a northerner that moved to the south. I got this in some years when I had my first bout of plants some years ago. It's just a little trellis that can hold your plant up for you. So I just put that in before I put the rest of the soil in. I'm still gonna smack her in there, tap her in there good, because you do not, I'm telling you, do not want those roots to miss any of that soil. Helps the roots get encompassed in the soil. Yep. And like I said before, you're gonna keep patting, because what you're gonna notice is the soil level is gonna go down. You'll fill it up, and then the soil level go down, or you'll think it's full, and then you go to water it, and then the soil just sinks to the bottom. It's because it hasn't been worked in good. So we're just gonna make sure. Y'all done put her on here in here backwards. Okay, so I'm gonna flip her around, and we're gonna come back to this part. So, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna tilt her up. Work smarter, not harder. So let's just take some of this out of here so we can make sure this trellis gets in here good. Yeah, yeah. See, you live and you learn. That's what we're doing, living and learning, okay? All right, so now we're gonna just fill this back up. Gonna still tap it in there. There is a little gap in here from where I previously had it attached, which is okay, because it'll give some, there's my face, it'll give some soil to the aroid roots that grow out of these, because if you know anything about monsteras, they grow these really large aroid roots out of the back of the stems. So these are my kids if you hear them. If you have some soil right there, it'll make it easier for those roots to penetrate the soil. We're just tapping again. It's okay to get it in there. I like to lift it up and then put it back down just to make sure she's in there good. And I'm just gonna grab some Velcro tape. See, I just put a nice little pile in there, and it just sunk right in, which shows me I had some room in there to fill up. So it is standing up on there pretty darn well. So I don't have to add a Velcro strip on there if I don't want to, but I am going to. I'm going to put this mat to the side. Okay. So here, see, we just got a little bit of dirt. My pan's over there, so we're good. Okay. So she is in there, and I'm just gonna, it doesn't really need to be hoisted up there, but just so she can feel supported, I am going to go ahead and lock her down, lock her in. I don't know how I'm going to lock her in, but I am. Because when they feel supported, that's when they put out bigger leaves, and that's when they start to mature. They like to feel support like anybody else. So I'm going to give her a little squeeze, a little huggy hug, and there she is. So I just put her back into her pot, and she is ready to go. I am going to go ahead and give her a little bit of drink with some fertilizer. She is looking good, honey. She got some support, and she's ready to grow. I will keep you guys updated on how she continues to grow, and I thank you guys so much for watching today. Be sure to leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys think, and if you guys have some tips or tricks for how you repot your plants, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.